Hello everyone, Simon Jacobson here, and we continue our new series called Biblical Characters Decoded, Lessons for Life. And this week we will address Noah, rebuilding a broken world. It's always good to begin in the most relevant terms, in language that speaks to us in our times. One of the big questions that every person will face at some point in their lives is there hope after betrayal? Is there reconciliation after a violation? Throughout life, we will at least at times be hurt, and sometimes by loved ones. And it can feel like there's no way to fix something, to mend something that was broken, a broken promise, a shattered dream, a violated commitment. And we look for answers. Some of us give up. We become more resigned. We feel we really can't get out of our stuck situation. That's what I'd like to address. Now, this can be on an individual level, spouses in a marriage, infidelity, where the marriage was somewhat violated, or it could be between parents and children, or it could be between friends, or it could be on a collective level. If a particular group went through a terrible tragedy, a Holocaust, is there hope after such loss? So, of course, a case can be made that the arrow goes one way in time, in life, and that which is broken, and that's it, move on. Others say, as Hemingway wrote, life breaks all people, and some are stronger in the broken places. He apparently was not that strong. Took his own life later. So there is the concept of healing and recovery, but even that is really unlimited, or we can make the best of it. And yet some do argue that there are things that I've learned, the strengths I've gained through my brokenness is something I do not want to give up, something that has really changed me for the good. The poets write that the cracks in life is where the light gets through. So again, is that making the best with what we have, or is there something deeper to it all? And here is enter Noah of the Bible. Famous story, the planet Earth and its inhabitants became so corrupt, so polluted, that they self-destruct. And hence comes the flood. Cause and effect. When you turn on each other through crime, through injustice, you end up destroying each other. And the world, the polluted, toxic world, is ultimately destroyed with all the life on it, except for a few individuals. The Bible tells us that Noah and his family were preserved, as well as the animals, 2 of each species. At least 2 of each species. And as the flood devastates in his deluge the entire earth, the ark that Noah builds protects him and his family and these animals. For the 40 days and 40 nights, and then as the flood subsides, comes the dramatic moment. What happens next? Noah sends out, as the story goes, he sends out first a raven and then ultimately a dove to see if the land is beginning to dry. And then he's told, God tells Noah, now his time has arrived, the time has come for you to leave this ark, this protective ark, and rebuild what? A broken world. So we all know the story, especially in its biblical context. But what about its personal lessons in addressing the questions I posed earlier? So therein lies tremendous lessons. First of all, let's just begin the most important one of all, that we could rebuild a broken world. Noah could have easily said, hey, you know what? People are flawed. They're imperfect. Just as they turned on each other before, they'll do it again. Why should I rebuild a broken world? And he actually had these thoughts, to the point that he even got intoxicated when he came off the ark, because it wasn't so simple to face a world. And now that the responsibility is on his shoulders to rebuild this world, there are plenty of risks, plenty of reasons to be very pessimistic. And indeed, he actually has to be told to leave the ark, because once he became comfortable in this ark that protected him from the raging floodwaters, which reflect more than just raging floodwaters, they reflect the raging world, the hostile world, and the raging floodwaters sometimes are referred to all the challenges and the difficulties of making a living, the anxieties and agonies of life. But he was protected. The Baal Shem Tov, the great mystic, the founder of Hasidism, explains that the word in Hebrew for the ark is teva, which also means word. It's the words, the sacred words, the sacred statements and phrases that protect us and immunize and insulate us from the raging floodwaters around us. So Noah became very comfortable. So even though he had to be told to enter the ark, because he was part of the world, to get out of his comfort zone and enter the ark, now he has to be told to get out of his comfort zone in the ark and return and mend and fix and rebuild a broken world. So the first statement is that it's very, very clear that not only can we do it, but we must do it. And we're commanded to do it, because the command to Noah is to command to each one of us that whatever happens in our lives that may have been broken, that may have even been destroyed due to corruption, pollution, toxins of any sort, abuse, trauma, that have caused fear, insecurity, and all the other psychological shadows that can darken our lives, that we can and we must rebuild. That means there is always hope. And yes, we're told to do so, which gives us strength. It gives us strength because it says that you have everything you need to be able to achieve that. And as we see, Noah actually did that. And he rebuilds life. And as a result, we have a world today, again, not a perfect world, but a world that ultimately, a little after Noah comes 10 generations later, Abraham, who begins to bring light, pioneering the concepts of virtue and justice in a corrupt world, and a world that would not be destroyed again, despite all the challenges and the wars that have been fought. But what is it? Where do we get the strength? And what are the methods that we need to use? And this too we learn from the story. It's interesting, the world was not destroyed by fire. It was by water. Water is a symbol of cleansing, sometimes compared to the mikveh, to the ritual bath waters. It's not about just cleaning off the grime and the dirt like a bathtub or a shower. It has a certain spiritual element to it. Water is considered to be a spiritual cleanser. Water is compared to knowledge. Very often, what causes corruption is ignorance. It's a lack of knowing. Sometimes that leads to malicious behavior, but it often begins with ignorance, with stereotypes, with discrimination, with distortions. And then when you mix self-interest into it, you get what you get. You get the destruction that it can bring on. So water wasn't just a destroyer here. Water was also a cleanser. It was also a nourisher, a nurturer. That's what water does. Beginning of our lives, we all begin 9 months submerged in the embryonic fluids, water, in our mother's womb. Water represents love. So it's love and knowledge. So that's the first indicator, what we're supposed to do. To educate, to inform. There's a statement made in the book of Isaiah that in the future, in the Messianic age, there will be no longer evil and destruction in the world. And why? Because the world will be filled with divine knowledge as the waters cover the sea. It's interesting. The story of Noah also begins with a world filled with what? With crime. A world filled with divine knowledge as the waters cover the sea. Water has a feature, besides that it's a cleanser and that it's a nurturer and refreshes us and symbol of love. There's one more thing about water. Anything submerged in it becomes completely subsumed. The fish in water, the fish in the sea, are always submerged in this source of life. They have a sense that it's not just about me. I'm part of something bigger than me. Look at the feeling we all have when we go swimming. We go underwater. There's a certain being protective, exactly like recreating the embryo. A protective sense. You're completely embraced in water. And not just embraced like a hug. Completely submerged. It's the symbol that materialism is not an end in itself. That materialism should be submerged in the spiritual waters around it. You know, when you're in the zone, you feel that. You don't sense self. You're reading a book, you're so submerged, so immersed in it. You don't even realize you're turning pages, and you can be emotional, cry, laugh. And someone from the outside is looking, you're reading a book. You're reading a book, but you've become one. You become submerged. That's what it is. So it's not like two entities. The subject and object have melted into one. The tension between matter and spirit, which led ultimately to the corruption of the earth and its pollution. The antidote is the opposite, the submergence of matter within spirit. Matter is compared to the dry land, spirit is compared to water. In the mystical Kabbalistic terminology, land is called the revealed worlds, like speech. Water is called the hidden worlds, like thought. Closer to the unifying element that thought offers, where the letters and the words become submerged in the idea. The more it's expressed in words, and especially in writing, in action, the more the words take on shape. But when you're in the zone, when you become completely, you melt in. So water itself, the thing that destroyed the universe, was actually, it's also its antidote, because that's what it needs. So it wasn't just a destroyer, it was actually cleansing the world and preparing it to realize that materialism of existence needs to be submerged in water. But with a big caveat, to not be overwhelmed by these waters. So we need the ark, we need the words. It's true, you're completely submerged, immersed in the book that you're reading or in the music that you're listening to. And nothing else is happening. You don't even realize what you're feeling. You can't even report or describe, this is my feeling, because you're so submerged in it. And yet you need the words to contain it, to be able to channel it. Because we want to build a world. We don't just want it to be submerged. So it's really a fusion between matter and spirit. And it's not that he left the ark in the sense that, okay, now he no longer has the protection. He left the ark to build in the world, that the world should be surrounded with sacred words. Today we live in an information age. It's a deluge of another sort. Information overload, it's called. We're also being flooded by information. So one option is just shut it all off. Unplug, no access. That's not practical for most people. The ultimate goal is to, by all means, get all the benefits of this flood. But surround yourself. Make sure that you have filters. Make sure you are insulated with the right words and the focus of why all this technology and all the information out there, what is it guided toward? It's not just an end in itself. It's a means toward transcendence. And in this lies all the secret of how Noah rebuilt a broken world. And how does that apply to our personal lives? It's one thing someone betrays another, violates a trust, hurts, abuses, breaks a promise, breaks an oath, a vow, and says, okay, I made a mistake, forgive me. So first of all, can they really be forgiven? Will they not do it again? Are they just trying to find the easy way out? But let's assume that they're sincere. But you, as the person who is hurt, says, how do I know for sure? How do I rebuild trust? So here's the thing. We're not talking about creating perfection. We're not saying, okay, the world was broken, and now let's create a perfect world. The world continues to have potential, but the world continues to be potentially a place where things can be broken. But you learn accountability. Trust is built on accountability, not on perfection. Accountability means a person who acknowledges a mistake is not covering it up, is not hiding it, is not lying. It also means that you've added water into the picture of knowledge, awareness, consciousness, also part of accountability. That you've developed the trait that I often talk about, bittul, the Hebrew word for submersion, immersion in something greater than you are, like being immersed in water. That it's not that you're becoming knowledgeable, but that you're surrendering to it, and you're being submerged and consumed by it. You are being absorbed by something greater than yourself. These are the things we look for when we try to rebuild a trust that was broken. So there is a method. It's not just a promise made, promise broken, and I'll promise again, and repeat the cycle. No, there's a paradigm shift. There's a fundamental shift that we've learned from the first break. That we need to submerge in water, that we need to have that insulation, the oasis of sacred words, that we need to have the bittul, the modesty, the humility, most importantly, the surrender, the commitment and dedication to something greater than yourself. So though we're no longer physically in an ark, we still need arks, an oasis in time and space. For some it could be a Shabbat, where we just unplug from the mechanical universe. It could be any other time of the day where we pray or we study. Someone you love, find special time to create your own little ark. That's how we rebuild a broken world. That's how we rebuild even after trust was breached. So it's not just going back to square one and trying to, again, you've learned from it. And above all, going to the most important point, the confidence that the break of the universe and things that are broken is not the default state. The harmony, the tikkun, the repair is the default state. The beautiful world. The break is an anomaly, an aberration that needs to be dealt with, not be ignored. And that's why it's a given that after the flood you can come out and fix and rebuild a broken world, a broken life. Even when their promises were broken, even when the past seems to have caused you to become resigned, people in relationships being deeply hurt. I don't want to try again. I don't want to be hurt again. No, return. I'm not suggesting go back to what you tried again. Now you have to dig deeper. You have to find new resources. You have to look for deeper signs of what builds trust. But they get those qualities in place. The water, the bittul, the humility and dedication to something greater than yourself. That you see that in the other person. The words, that they have sacred words that they surround themselves with, that they have their priorities in place. Where matter is being sublimated in the spirit of water. Those are the ingredients that you can build trust and rebuild anything that may have been broken. So there we have lessons from Noah and how to rebuild a broken world. Whether it's a larger world or whether it's the world of microcosm. This has been Simon Jacobson, Meaningful Life Center, meaningfullife.com. So there's a new series every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. But then can be accessed anytime at meaningfullife.com. Please check out our schedule, our programs. I'd love to hear feedback, share, like, questions, thoughts, suggestions. Thank you so much. Be blessed. And may you live a life where you have little breaks, but when there is a break, you know how to mend, to repair, and make it greater than ever. Be well.